All right, what is up, guys? I said we were going to do it. I said on Thursday we're going to do a pop-up live stream on Sunday night, and we almost didn't do it. Sorry, I was getting myself talking back to myself in my ear. All right, yeah, so I said we were going to do it. Almost didn't happen tonight. I'm running on, let me see here. Oh, jeez. I am running on 3 hours, 49 minutes of sleep. And the day before that was 5, and the day before that was 5. So I'm like, I'm dying right now. I was in bed with Sarah, hanging out, almost asleep like 15 minutes ago. But we're doing this damn thing. And honestly, after a pretty busy weekend, it's going to be nice to cap it off with a couple of really nice drinks, some samples that people have sent in. We're going to get into this new old Overholt 10-year cask strength rye, which I'm very excited to review. We're going to give one of those away on this stream. And, you know, sometimes on these pop-up streams, we don't get quite as many people hanging out. So it might be actually a better chance to win if you're not somebody that normally throws your name in the hat on the old super chats. But I wanted to give this bottle away when I review it here on the live stream. And the other thing is that this coming Thursday, if I do have a live stream, it's going to be a late one. And I thought, you know, instead of delaying the review of this with the giveaway, you know, 2 Thursdays from now, let's just do it tonight. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to do a giveaway for this. And I've got to think about if there can be a second prize for tonight that's something that's actually compelling and not just like, here are some samples, you know, something that's relevant. So for now, let's just say only one prize this evening, which is going to be the old Overholt. I think this is like a $100 bottle SRP. Not a crazy secondary value, but I'm not sure what the distribution is going to be like on this. So if it's not something that you have in your area, or if, you know, it's an opportunity to win a you know, slightly lesser priced version of this bottle, then, you know, by all means, throw your name in the hat. Every $5 is an entry as usual. All that good stuff. So let's see who's in here. I got to get started with something. And actually, you know what? We're going to start with some scotch. We're going to start with a little bit of scotch tonight. If you saw the thumbnail of this live stream, there is Little Book Chapter 7 in retrospect, which is in this sample container right here from Matt Porter. I tasted this on the blind flight that he sent me that we did on his stream 2 nights ago. So I've got Little Book Chapter 7. I'll check out what's in this blend since I don't have the bottle in front of me. Review that. You saw the old Overholt, but you also saw Johnnie Walker Blue Label. And the reason is William Molnar sent me some awesome samples, like I think 9 2-ounce samples. And among those was the other laser code for Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C923, the A23 laser code that everyone's hyped about. And then he also sent Johnnie Walker Platinum Label 18-year, Johnnie Walker Gold Label Reserve, non-age stated, and then Johnnie Walker Blue. So I've got a couple Johnnies here, and why not just kind of go down the line and see what these are all about? My experience with Johnnie Walker, it's not limited. I mean, I've had red, black, double black, green, which I absolutely love. I think I've tried blue, but I can't remember it. So because of that, you know, if I don't remember what's up with it, then I should taste it again and see, you know, how I feel about it. So we'll get these poured out, see who's in here tonight. Let me know what you're sipping on this evening. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Today I had four different concerts. It was like a Hail Mary of a Sunday. So I'm ready for this. I am ready for this. I also have some good news to share. I'll share that in just a second, but I want to get something on the old palate here and say cheers to you guys. So let's see what we got. William Reynolds says cheers. Cheers right back at you. Jeb, yeah, I was running a little late, as usual. I think 5 minutes late is pretty much the new norm now. It's fine. I'll just watch 90 Day Fiance while I wait. Ooh, smells good. Daniel P., good timing, almost halftime of the Cowboys game. Yeah, I didn't think about football. That's always going to be an issue, though, I think, this time of the year. Cheers, everyone. Just popping in and out. Copper Wolf, good to see you. Hey, Guy, tonight, Guy, you get 1 entry free of charge to the giveaway because for some reason on last week's giveaway, I went through the spreadsheet because I looked at the numbers and I felt like there were 3 people unaccounted for. So Alan Mack gets 2 entries into tonight's giveaway. I just flat out missed him last week. I feel really bad about it. And he was actually even in the live chat. It wasn't a Venmo super chat. So I felt bad about that. Alan, I said he's going to get 2 entries. He's actually going to get 3. I'm going to make it up to him and give him 1 extra free entry for tonight's giveaway. And then Guy, for some reason, you were only counted 9 times instead of 10. The spreadsheet messed up. I went through and double checked every entry after I saw the discrepancy for you, Guy, and everybody else was completely fine, but one of the rows in the spreadsheet didn't populate correctly. I'm not sure what the deal was with that. So I just want to let you know, let everyone else know for the sake of transparency, that those guys are... Alan's getting 3 because I screwed up, and Guy is going to get that 1 entry that he's owed as well. Okay. Let's see what else we got. We got Joe in here. Good to see you, man. Thanks for being here. Ty Leasy says, what's up? Sipping on some 923. Which one, man? Are you sipping on, what's the laser code on the back? A22 or A23? Joe says, last week I had the old Overholt in my hand at Beam, but got the Hardens Creek. I would have gotten the Hardens Creek, too. I mean, if I saw that thing at cost, I'm going for that. Joe, no, I didn't get anything. I had a rehearsal at 9 a.m., and then another rehearsal at 2, and then a concert at 5. So the day was packed out yesterday for me. What did you get, man? Or did you make it out? Keith opened his Overholt yesterday. Well, let's see what it's all about today, man. I'm excited. Wombat Annihilator, cheers. Let me know if you guys have anything in the glass right now. Let's see. I'm going to get Copper Wolf in here. 4 entries into tonight's giveaway. Thank you, Copper Wolf. I'll say cheers to that. First sip of the night for me as we get into this like quick down the line Johnnie Walker excursion. This is going to be the Gold Label Reserve non-age stated. All of these are 40%, so just minimally legal. All right. All right, see some Venmo coming in. I'll get to that in just a bit, but I want to make sure that we get into some whiskey tasting here first. Guy says, didn't notice. Thanks for catching that. Yeah, man. Oh, Ty Leasy, you have the A23. Okay, so this is supposed to be the better batch. Again, I'm going to do a video on this. I'm not going to do it on tonight's live stream, but I have 1 ounce of A23 for a comparison. 1 ounce left because I've already tasted it. Have some conclusions about it myself. What's up, Matt? Dude, good to see you. Always good to see your name pop up. Let's see. In for 2. All right. Cheers, Cam. Sipping on Booker's. Okay, which one is that, Matt? The 2304. I've had no Bookers since maybe mid 2022. I'd have to go look at the list. I am so behind on Booker's batches. Kentucky Tea I did not get the chance to try, but I know everybody talked really highly of Kentucky Tea batch. A pleasant surprise alongside Sunday Night Football. I hope that's the case. Keith Thompson, curious to hear your notes on the Overholt. Jeb, just a water night. Oh, we'll change that fast. I'm just kidding. No pressure. What's up, Gary Franchi? All right, so seeing some awesome people in the chat tonight. So real quick, we'll kick it off with this Johnnie Walker Gold Label Reserve, then move on to the Platinum Label 18-year. And there was an extra note on this. The 18-year Platinum Label discontinued in 2017, replaced by aged 18 years. Okay, so a little tidbit there. Yeah, all right. Cool. So first up, this Gold Label Reserve. To me, this is like... This feels a little bit like an Oban to me. So if you guys have ever... Any Scotch drinkers in here, Oban is kind of coastal. It's slightly peated, but it's not medicinal or anything like that. There's just a little whiff of smoke in the background. This Johnnie Gold Label to me is like kind of a little bit of a darker honey note to it. I would say some sort of sherry influence in here, but very faint in the background. Golden raisin, honey, whiff of smoke. Yeah, and maybe like some combination between like a little ashiness and also kind of like a bit of a dark chocolate thing in here. But again, we're talking Scotch notes, so keep that in the back of your mind. You're thinking of those notes in the Scotch presentation, not in like an American whiskey presentation. So, but oh, nice, a little bit of caramel apple on the palate. The other reason I'm doing this is just to work my way up to the blue label, get the palate set with Scotch before I tackle the blue label. I don't want to do that one cold. I don't think that's going to do it justice to do it that way. Matt, 2304 is Storyteller. Okay, how is it, Matt? Out of curiosity. And was there another batch of Bookers this year that was highly regarded? Anybody out there? Does anybody know? Has anyone kept track of these batches this year? Because I'm not sure. Also, please, if you wouldn't mind, hit that like button on your way in. Let's get a few more folks hanging out tonight. I know we're starting with Scotch, so not going to have too many people here till we get to the American whiskey. Totally get it. Oh, Todd. Big Man Small Batch is the best Bookers I've ever tasted. And it's not close. It is such a fantastic batch. And secondary prices reflect just how good it is, unfortunately. Keith, I don't know if Kentucky Tea was this year. I thought it might have been last year, but I believe it had kind of a light salmon-colored label on it or something. All right, so working from the Gold Label Reserve, which tastes fine. It's non-age stated. To me, it's coming across like between 12 to 14-ish years. This 18-year platinum label that was discontinued, this definitely is coming off a little bit more aged. It's going to be a weird note, but somebody that has bad breath, like dental cavity note, this kind of smells like somebody with bad breath. But what I mean by that is the age on the whiskey, the oak influence on this Johnnie Platinum. The oak smells like bad breath. You know, sometimes oak smells for American whiskey leathery or rickhousey or outdoors or earthy. This is coming off like a bad breath oak note. I've never thought of that before, but that's kind of what it's like. Joe, dude, I would love a flight of this year's batches. I hate to be so emphatic or enthusiastic right away about that because I know that's your whiskey, but I would love to actually be able to taste through some of these Booker's batches. Keith, this is why Ohio didn't take your tasting notes. Oh, man, that Johnnie Platinum is very good. That's a shame they discontinued it. I'm not sure if the current 18-year blend is like this or not. Still feels like it's... I mean, these are all 40%, so it feels like you're drinking whiskey in the background, you know? But to me, on this one, this kind of takes what the gold label is. It adds a few decadent layers to it that kind of feel more almost American oak like, a little bit more vanilla, maybe a little bit like, yeah, maybe a little coconut even, like kind of like American whiskey barrel notes. But it also adds this kind of aged French oak note as well. I'm not saying I know what kind of oak is used in this, but that kind of weird, bad breath, funky oak note in this reminds me of kind of like an aged French oak. So, interesting. Very interesting. Joe, that would be awesome. I really like this. Even at 40%, I really like this. So, very cool. But let's get to the star of the show here at the beginning of this live stream, which is going to be this Johnnie Walker Blue Label. Pour a little extra. Why not? So Kentucky Tea was towards the end of 2022. Mark Wood is sitting on a center cut. I haven't had that one, but I would have to imagine that, I mean, Big Man Small Batch being as good as it was, I have to imagine center cut's going to be pretty killer too. What's up, Sandeep? Haven't seen your name in a while. Good to see you in here. Daniel P says, I think Charlie's batch was okay this year. Okay, so I heard. Yeah, hit that like button on your way in, guys. We got a few more folks in here now, so we're just about to get into this Johnnie Walker Blue Label. I've been warming up to it with some of these other Johnnie Walker expressions. Okay. So this one is actually quite a bit nutty. Johnnie Walker Blue. As I smell this, there's less sweetness, less overall sweetness. It's coming across a little bit more savory, a little bit more sophisticated in that way, where it's not just overt barley sweetness or barrel sweetness jumping out of the glass. There's like this savory quality, like definitely walnut, cashew, like kind of a fatty, slightly bitter nuttiness to it. Yeah. What is that note? It's almost like burnt wood, like after you put out a fire. The smell of like a piece of burnt wood, a little bit in here. Yeah. Huh. But the Blue Label is actually more muted on the nose than the Platinum. It's very far down in the glass. So, what is up, Travis? Good to see you, dude. Wow. Actually, the palate of the Blue Label, it has the texture of, what would you even call that? It's like nothing's there. That's kind of surprising. I mean, it matches the nose. It's actually the weakest expression of the three, I think, on the palate, just in terms of presence, punch. What's up, Matt? Yeah, the nose feels like, okay, maybe this is going to trick me. Maybe it's going to be really sophisticated on the palate. You know, maybe there's going to be something extra here. This is the Johnnie Walker Blue Label is the Blantons of Scotch. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. It's there and it's gone. It is dictionary definition of smooth. It's very silky, but with no body. So if you can get something with a silky or velvety mouthfeel, maybe that would be something like Michter's 10 2023. Those things, even at a low proof, silky, velvety, but heavy. This is silky, and there's nothing to back it up. And that's unfortunate, because the flavors are, to some degree, sophisticated in this, with this extra savory nuttiness, this burnt wood kind of note. Yeah, maybe even a little bit of like an herbal thing going on. But the palate just doesn't deliver the notes in the right way. So, I don't know. Who here has tried Johnnie Walker Blue Label, and what do you think? Huh. I would not pay the money for one of those. You know, I would stick with the green label Johnnie Walker, which I don't have in front of me right now, but that green label, extra peat to it, a little extra proof as well. I just think value-wise, it's a great value buy. All right, guys. So let's get to some little book action. Yeah, Joe, the blue would be great at 75. Yeah, I mean, if that. But I get your point. Yeah, it's definitely not memorable. It would be interesting to try Johnnie Blue. I mean, it's the age-old complaint we all have for every whiskey ever, is I'd love to try it at cask strength and understand just what the blend is like. But that doesn't seem likely. It does make sense to me why Johnnie Walker Blue Label would be the kind of whiskey that, I hate to say this, like, so I apologize. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but like, you know, tech bros and stuff like that, people that don't know anything about it, but that have quite a bit of money to burn and want to flash status and all that kind of stuff, why they would go for that, because you know, you can put it down really easily. The smoke level, the peat level in that Johnnie Walker Blue is so faint that it's not offensive. You know, it's something that people can kind of get behind on the Scotch front. Whereas for me, like, it really equates to Blanton's without the same level of marketing. But yeah, what is it? $250 for a Johnnie Blue? That's maybe 300 some places. That's a big pass. A very big pass. Okie dokie. So let's do some Little Book. Copperwolf says, Johnnie Walker also has, if I'm not mistaken, a high rye expression. They do. I actually have a bottle of that. And I like it. I mean, it's different, but I like it. Especially because it's a pretty cheap bottle. Travis says he's had the blue label, not impressed. Love the 18-year. Yeah, the 18-year is better. Where I thought maybe it was a little overtly sweet, I think that's only in comparison to the blue label, which, again, leans on those savory notes a little bit more, but not in a way that's actually successful. So you don't get points for trying. Jason Harris finally got a hold of the Jack Daniel's barrel strength single barrel rye shelfer, and dude, it is like, I'll pull that down. I'll take a sip of that in a second. This, I mean, has to be in the at least in the conversation of like top whiskeys of the year. Maybe not top 10, but if you're thinking about availability, which is now pretty decent on these, price to availability to quality to, you know, proof, all those kind of things, this pretty much knocks all of those stats out of the park. So we'll take a sip of this here in a second, but let's get into this Little Book Chapter 7. Oh, Peter White, Johnnie Walker Blue Cask Edition is 55.8. Well, I'll be damned. See, I don't follow it enough, but would be very interested to try that. All right. Little Book Chapter 7. Let me zoom in here, see if I can get a breakdown of what's in this. I know this is a crazy... All right, there we go. We're back in American whiskey land. Can I get a breakdown? 18, 17, 9, and 4-year-old Kentucky Straight Bourbon, 10 and 4-year Kentucky Straight Rye, and a 5-year straight malt whiskey finished in Applewood smoked barrels. So it's $150 SRP. So you get all of it. You get bourbon, rye, and malt whiskey, 118.1 proof, 4 years to 18 years if you look at it that way. Okay. So, I'm not going to look at these tasting notes, but let's see what this is all about. On Matt's stream the other night, his Russell's pick mopped the floor with this in the blind. It was the first of the what did he call it? Step ladder blind, I think is what it was. Of the first battle that we did, it was his Russell's pick blind versus Little Book 7, and his Russell's pick, it wasn't even close. It was way better, at least for me. Clay, what is up, dude? Just wanted to stop in to say hello. 4:30 a.m. That is going to come early. Hope you have a good week too, man. Thanks for saying hey. Guys, hit that like button if you have not already. Please and thank you. And remember, tonight's giveaway, a bottle we're going to get into here after this little book, the Old Overholt 10-year cask strength rye. We're going to give one of these away. There it is. And so every $5 is an entry into tonight's giveaway. And then I went ahead and pulled the previous limited edition Old Overholt, the 11-year at 92.6. As a point of comparison, maybe we'll proof down the cask strength and see what that relationship is like. Vegas Art, Little Book will crush the Johnnie. Oh, for sure. Yeah. But I don't know if the Little Book's going to crush itself. You know, I don't know if it's actually going to hold up just individually, for me at least. We'll see. So the first thing I'm hit with on this, the very first impression I get is that it just smells like young, hot whiskey. Like, I don't smell this and think that there's anything in here over, like, 8 years old. That feels like the range that we're talking, not 17 and 18 and the other stuff that they mentioned in the blend. Obviously, there is young stuff too, but I don't know. It's very nutty, very young on the nose. It's proofy. Now, as I keep going back to the glass, it is starting to develop into a little bit of like a strawberry jelly kind of note. I think there is some fruit. There's a fruit element in here. It's not really dark, at least right away. Yeah, so I would go strawberry jelly. There's some smokiness in here, which maybe is that Applewood smoked, the malt whiskey finished in Applewood smoked barrel. There is like a smokiness to this, which is something I'm not used to in American whiskey. So it's kind of breakfasty in that sense. Like Applewood smoke, strawberry jam, kind of nutty, typical Jim Beam on that front. The more I go back to it, the more I get past the smoke on the nose, which is kind of a standout part of it. Although it is well integrated, I think some people wouldn't quite get smoke. They would just be like, I don't know what that note is. It is very integrated in there. But the more you come back to it, the further beyond that you can get. But I'm not finding anything super special in here after the fact. All right, let's go to the palate. All right. So credit where credit's due. I know that was the first sip of high proof American whiskey of the night, but the drinking experience on this is very, very good. It is still extremely spicy. I mean, this is a crazy spicy whiskey, and it is a little hot for 118.1, but front to back, humongous experience drinking this thing. And I think that might be part of the reason that a lot of people seem to like this Little Book 7. All right, hang on. Let's try something here. On nights like tonight where there are only a few pours that I want to get into, that's when we start digging into comparisons and having a little bit of fun with this. So, cue going off the rails. It starts right now. I have 2 Bookers in the house. The rest I got rid of. So Bardstown batch, again, my favorite batch in recent memory, although I stopped soon after this. I didn't get the chance to try Kentucky tea. So I don't know if that one is as good as people say it is. But a buddy of mine, Josh, actually gifted me the remainder of this bottle, which is Kitchen Table. I know a lot of people like Kitchen Table. So maybe I'll use the Kitchen Table as an example here. Why not? Let's do that. And I just want to see what the comparison of a decently regarded Booker's batch, not one of the top batches. I mean, top batches, you got to go back to 2015 if you're talking, in the last decade or so. But this one, sip a while, some of those country ham, beaten biscuits, people do like them. So let's see what this is like up against this Little Book. Also remember the proof is going to be much higher here. It's 128 instead of 118.1, so 10 proof difference. That is a very solid batch of Bookers. All right, back to the Little Book. Okay, so on the nose, the Little Book actually has kind of like a strawberries and cream, like what are those? The Lifesaver candies, the strawberries and cream versions. It has a little bit of that on the nose. Yeah. So there's actually more of a dessert element to it than I first noticed. And the way that I'm, able to get to that is because I'm doing a comparison to a product like Booker's, which is very intense, kind of very one-dimensional. All right. So, Pop Rocks on the little book, midway through the palate. It's total Pop Rocks on the tongue. All right, so I do actually prefer the little book. I don't. I mean, let me know if you guys have had this. Copper Wolf looks like has tried it. To me, it's good. The apple smoke and age is evident for sure. Yeah, the smoke definitely evident. The age, not so much for me. I think the age at least isn't overt on the nose or the palate. I feel like maybe it's just rounding out those rough edges. And doing the comparison to the Booker's kind of shows that. Like, the Booker's is very intense. Just straight down the middle, peanut, Jim Beam craziness. And this little book, I think the blend, what they've tried to do is make a crazy complex whiskey. I think they kind of achieved that. But my problem with it is that it doesn't really stand out to me in any way. Like, if I'm thinking top whiskeys of the year and everybody's saying Little Book 7 should go on that list of a true top 10, maybe even top 5 for some people, I don't think it stands out in any way. I think it's like a pretty good exercise in balance, although I think the Applewood smoke note is heavy-handed in this one, even though it's probably very minuscule in the blend. But to be kind of a whiskey of the year, I think you need to stand out in some way, not just produce a well-blended whiskey with all these components for $150 SRP. Like, a lot of that doesn't make sense. It seems like we should be complaining about some of those things, whereas people are really falling all over themselves, it seems, about this batch. Yeah, and there's kind of like this damp, almost mossy kind of note on the little book. The more I go back to it, there's almost damp mossiness and kind of like a sugary, almost like a sugar in the raw. Those like sugar in the raw packets. Get something that resembles that. Yeah, I think Copper Wolf. I think you're right, man. Like, unique is cool. I have to say I'm just not a big fan of the Little Book line. Nothing has grabbed me except for Little Book 3. Which Daniel P., I don't know if Daniel's still in the chat or not, but Daniel P. sent me a sample of Little Book 3 that I thought was just awesome. So that is the only Little Book that I've thought to myself, yes, this deserves being a limited release. It deserves a higher price tag. I thought it was great. All the other ones that I've tasted, I think I missed 6, but I think I've had 4, 5, 7 now as well, and none of them have really done it for me. Okay, so Daniel says supposedly each whiskey in the blend has been in past Little Book batches, so kind of a novelty. Okay. Michael S. Sugar in the Raw is my college stripper name. I love it. So guys, I have a little bit of good news. I don't know why college stripper names made me think of good news, but, who knows? Many of you know kind of my day job as an orchestral percussionist. It's been tumultuous, over the years, in the sense that I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing. I used to be a solo guy, and I used to tour around by myself and do that. COVID hit, and I went from being a sub in the orchestra to basically taking over the percussion section, but not with any title. And there's all these union things that kind of work into all that we don't need to get into. Point is, last October of 2022, I finally got a 1-year contract, which we call, 1-year appointment. And that, the stipulation on that was basically like, well, we're going to give you an appointment, but you have to audition to actually secure your spot. That audition happened in July, was successful, all good. But then there is the tenure process in the orchestra, similar to a college professor, which is a 6-year process, which is very extensive. The orchestra process is a little shorter, quite a bit shorter, but until you have tenure, you're probationary, and, you know, after a year, if you're not cutting it, they can let you go. Once you get tenure, your job is protected, and yesterday I was granted tenure in the orchestra, so it's a huge weight off my shoulders. I expected that things would go well because I hadn't heard any complaints from the tenure committee, which is basically like my audition committee that was in the room. There were, I think, 8 total people in the room for my audition. Those 8 people then comprise this committee that kind of watches me throughout the season to see how I'm doing. And yeah, so it actually came a little earlier than expected, right before the holidays, which was nice, but it was like 5 minutes before we walked on stage to play yesterday, and they were like, you know, hey, you got tenure. And it's like, how am I gonna play? You know, I was a little emotional and everything, but it's like, I gotta play a lot of licks now. But it was definitely a cool moment. So anyways, that's the good news of the day. I just wanted to tell somebody, I guess. So I'm telling you guys. All right, more little book. The more this thing sits out, it is sweetening up. Palate definitely acclimates to the nuttiness, to the really intense spice. It does get better the more you sip it. So, man, and there's a nice, I like the sourness, the sour fruit note at the end, which is that, again, it's kind of like a strawberry preserve note to me, or strawberry jelly note. I like that a lot about this. So on the finish, I'm really into the finish on the little book. Still, I'm not going to say it's top whiskey for me of the year, because in the blind with Matt, just a Russell's pick. I think it was an 8-year Russell's pick. Blew it away. At a lower proof, actually, too. Todd's got a little book 1, 2, and 3. Wow, man. That's some serious stuff. I mean, I don't know anything about Little Book 1. I have to imagine secondary is probably crazy because it's the first one, but Little Book 3 is something special. What else here, Todd? Center Cut was the last 7-year until 2015, till the Lumberyard batch ended the 6-year streak. Since this batch, 5 of the last 7 are 7 years old. Wow. That is cool, but I will say the difference between like 6.5 and 7 when it comes to Bookers is probably, unfortunately, pretty slight, just given how aggressive the profile is. I think you need quite a bit of time to probably mellow that out, you know? But I don't know. Yeah, Daniel, I try to remember who sends what samples. I also start to just know people's handwriting. But I remember you sending me that. You sent the Parker's Heritage, maybe with that, the Heavy Char tenure, which was also very, very good. I think that you might have sent those together. VG, good evening, Cam. Good evening to you. Thanks for jumping in. Let me get you entered to the giveaway just so I don't forget. VG, and for one, thank you so much. Cheers, good to see you. Got Kilco in the house. And scrolling down. Thank you, guys. Some congrats messages here. Thank you. Appreciate that. Dramhound says hashtag 10-year. Yeah, everybody says 10-year. Ken Dad, Jack Daniels single barrel proof, I would imagine, for 59 today. Nice. Copperwolf says that's a unicorn popper level of news. Actually, I did say that I was going to finish my King of Kentucky and my Chateau de la Baude when I found out, but it's been such a whirlwind of a weekend, I didn't do it. So maybe I'll have a nice pour at some point in this stream. But before I do that, I want to get into the old Overholt first before we go completely, off the rails and devolve. Daniel, do orchestra members typically get tenure? Well, usually tenure process in orchestras is going to be like between 6 months to 2 years. Every orchestra is a little different. And then if you're not cutting it, they can just deny it, or they can extend the probationary period. Usually that's not going to extend more than like 1 more year. So the process itself is like, look, if you win the job, that process starts immediately. And so depending on when you would win the job, determines that. So, I mean, people are winning auditions in their 20s, certainly. A lot of times you're getting smaller jobs and you're continuing to audition in bigger ones. But there are not a lot of orchestral openings across the country for instruments like percussion, where there's only going to be 2 to 3 people in a section that are full-time, whereas like a violin section is going to have double-digit players, and those things turn over a lot more often. So they're always auditioning. Percussionists, timpanists, these are much less frequent openings going on. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not the youngest tenured member of the orchestra by any means. There are, like, we just hired a principal trombone player who's like 24 years old, like wonderkin, crazy, which is super cool. Noah, what's up, man? Good to see your name popping up, and thank you for the super chat. I'll get you into the giveaway here. Got you in for 2. And Jimmy Copeland, yeah. Yeah, Jimmy says, Cam has amazing memory. I remember seeing Jimmy at Pours in the Park and being like, are you Jimmy Copeland? Thanks, man. I appreciate the super chat. Got you in for 4. Okay, but yeah, Daniel, last thing on the whole tenure thing, there are absolutely horror stories of people not getting it, and in a lot of orchestras, it's a process that's very much behind closed doors, and you just have no transparency of what's going on or what's being said about you, and that can be scary. But I was encouraged, along the way here that things were going well, and I said, please, if there's anything that I need to work on, tell me, please tell me. And I think we made it out somewhat unscathed, which is nice. All right. Copper Wolf says, I have a King of Kentucky sample to pop with you. All right, we'll do some King of Kentucky on the stream then. Why not? I have barely any left, but I did tell Sarah that I was going to get into it once the tenure thing came through, as long as it was a success. I had one other thing I wanted to check out before we do the Overholt. And I do have some Venmos coming in, which is really cool. Thank you, guys. I'll get to those in just a second. But I had one thing I wanted to check. And I believe it's in Matt's sample 2 that he sent me. What's up, Amy? Good to see you. Thanks for jumping in here. Major Zero says, celebrating almost 2,300 subscribers. Awesome. That's an awesome achievement. I know the the grind on that, and I kind of just stopped keeping track of subscribers, to be honest, in terms of thinking like, oh, I've got to get to this, I got to get to this. I think maybe I need to actually think of it a little bit more because things are moving slowly. It's all due to the inconsistency of me posting and stuff like that. But I'm closing in on 5,000, so I understand the slow grind, Sandeep, good night. Good to see you, man. Thanks for jumping in here. Have a good start to your week. And Kilko jumping in with 1. I got you in, man. I'm not throwing away my shot. Thank you. So, all right. So what I just poured is Matt's Blue Run Chosen pick. And I know I was talking, on his stream. I'm not a Blue Run guy. I think it's too expensive. I just don't like a lot of things about it. And this is the one that I thought was Willet. Now, Matt says it's not Willet. I trust Matt. But I thought, why not compare this next to something that is absolutely sourced Willet, which is his barrel bourbon pick. Because I don't know. Maybe Matt's lying. Maybe he's lying. So his Blue Run Chosen pick, I want to kind of give it its due instead of just in the blind flight that we did last week. I mean, it smells pretty similar. Just saying. But it also might be Schmevin Schmill. All right, I'll get these Venmos in just a sec. All right, so I'm reading the chat right now as it goes by. I'm smelling Matt's chosen pick. So Joe says Matt's Blue Run is crazy. Reminds me of 15+ year light whiskey. That is a great call because I'm sitting here smelling this going like it smells like something that I just subjectively don't like. And part of my brain goes to that Willet like super high cinnamon, high proof thing, and Willet to me is always a little bit green and sappy tasting, and it's got that very brittle peanut shell note, and you can taste that on their lower end products too, like the Noah's Mill, Rowan's Creek, that kind of stuff, especially Noah's Mill. And that's what this smells like, but it also has that light whiskey thing, which is kind of like that green sappy note that I'm talking about on some Willet products as well. I mean, this, like, if I didn't know any better, like if you told me this was Heaven Hill, that doesn't make me feel better about the whiskey in the sense that it just reminds me of Willet so much. And it's just not my style, but I know a lot of people like this, and I know a lot of people like light whiskey. So I'm not in a good place, I think, ever to evaluate whiskeys that have this kind of a profile. I'm just not good at it. I do my best to try to be more objective, but I'm not able to get past it, I think. The palate's crazy. I mean, it's fireworks, you know? It tastes like... Oh, Jimmy, man. One of the best whiskeys I think I've ever had was that Purple Top that we tasted. I couldn't believe that stuff. Oh, my God. Ryan Alves just came and dropped it on the table. He sacrificed that bottle, you know? That's what it felt like to me. It felt like him just accepting his fate, puts the bottle down, walks away, and it's gone. It's done. It was a sacrifice. Yeah. Now, comparing, there is like a kind of a nice chocolate note in here, though. That's kind of weird. I didn't pick up on this at first. But I can't say that I'm getting a whole lot of fruit on that Blue Run pick. Now, going over to the Willet sourced, at least that's what the rumor is, barrel pick that Matt did a while ago. I actually really like this. I kind of like this better. This barrel pick, which I was, again, Willet's usually not my bag, but it's way fruitier. Yeah, I actually really like that. 8 years, so presumably same age range, 8 to 10 on the Blue Runs. It's that sappy thing. In some ways, that high proof green sap note actually tastes like a dusty Elijah Craig Pirate bottle. That note is on some of those Pirate bottles, like the 139.4 batch 11, but it sits on top, and everything else underneath it is super dark, funky, oaky, all that. Whereas I think on this Blue Run Chosen, it sits on the top, but everything else underneath it is still very bright and spicy and stuff like that, and nutty. So it doesn't feel like, to me, it feels kind of top heavy, this whiskey, with bright, with spicy. Travis, yeah, it's a Z barrel from them, and distilled in Kentucky. Yeah, so it's got to be Willet. Brian, I'm both spicy and nutty. The Blue Run for Copper Wolf chocolate covered bananas with the caramel sauce. It's interesting you say banana. It's not in like the Barton way, but I can see what you mean. To me, it's like a green banana, though. Like, again, to go along with that sappy thing I'm talking about. Very green, underripe. Yeah. All right. I'm still not convinced that it's not Willet, though. I don't know. It is, I guess, you know, could be something else. All right. That's going to do it for that. Fun to experiment, though. So let's do the let's kind of get into the star of the show, and now I'll get to these Venmo super chats. So let's get this poured out. The Old Overholt 10-year cask strength rye. So we got another Beam product. Copperwolf, I popped a Willet Family Estate 9-year 138, and it's not similar at all to Matt's pick. Wow. I think I have Here, so this is actually from Toshi. This is a Willet 6-year at 133.8. Yeah, let's clear this glass, and I'll just have a little sip of this real quick. Travis says this last week sampled 4 of the 16 Blue Run picks. Matt's was hands down the best. Yeah, it sounds like the consensus is that Matt's pick is the best of those. Okay, so Willet 6-year in the glass. Maybe I need to rethink this. Yeah, this Willet 6-year is nothing like Matt's pick, so I believe it. Maybe my impression of Willet is like totally skewed or something, because it must be. Because this is not how I remember this tasting. So I've got a false memory going on with how Willet profiles taste. Because this Willet 6-year actually tastes pretty damn good. Wow. Okay. Like, yeah, okay, hot cinnamon, but there's a lot of caramel going on in here and a lot of other darker notes. There's actually a really nice oakiness, even for a 6-year. It's very surprising. So that's not what I expected. What's up, William, jumping in here? Daniel, yeah, the Overholt's in the Old Granddad 114 bottle. So was the one they released a few years ago as well. It just has this wax on it, and the new one is not wax. It's got a sticker. Yeah, I saw some person complaining about that in some Facebook whiskey group. I was like, why are we complaining? It's, you know, I like the bottle design. I think it looks awesome. It's very classic looking. I think it looks cool. I don't know. David Smith jumping in. I'm going to get these Venmo super chats. David Smith for 4. Thank you so much, sir. I'm in. Congrats on the awesome news. Cheers. Thank you. Joe is saying, killed my Michter's 10 bourbon. Oh, so glad his brother's still with me. Yeah, man. Hang on to that. I still have the remainder of that sample you sent. That particular barrel is absolutely awesome. And every time one pops up on secondary with an A code, if I saw that barrel, Joe, because I know I can trust it, my barrel's good, but it's 30% less good than yours. which means the range is pretty wide as far as I can tell. If I saw your barrel pop up, I still have the number written down on a sticky note on my desk. I will be buying it at secondary because it's awesome. All right, I got you in for 3, and we got Jeb jumping in. Thank you, Jeb. I don't know that it's overdue. I think my samples to you, the list that you need to send me of everything you want to taste is overdue. Although again, I'm trying to keep track of some things. All right, here we go. Venmo super chats. Let's get the party started here. We've got quite a few of these. I'll start at the top so that I can make sure I don't miss anybody. Greg Y. Greg Y is in for, let's see. Amy, by the way, I meant to tell you, one of the rows on the spreadsheet didn't populate the correct number last week. It just missed one randomly. And I should have, in retrospect, saved which row it was, but I deleted the spreadsheet like a complete dummy. But I just wonder if there's a way to check on that. William. I wonder if there's a way to check on that, because I'm gonna look every time it generates right now and make sure that it does in fact generate the correct number. All right, Greg Y, I got you in for 2. Thank you. Keith Thompson, entries. He's got 3. $15 super chat. Thank you, Keith, man. I will say cheers to all of you and have a sip once I get through writing these down. So thank you all so much. Again, please hit that like button if you haven't already. All right, we got Travis in for 2. He says, for a shot at the old man, and congratulations. Get you something really nice. And the voice from Eddie from Christmas Vacation. Okay, there we go. Amy, thank you so much. Amy jumped in for 2. I appreciate that. Oh, I think one row got messed up somehow. It's fixed now. Thank you, Amy. That was the row that made Guy miss one of his entries last week. I'm sure I like backspaced something or messed it up inadvertently. Daniel P, I got you in for 4, man. Thank you so much for the congrats. And we got 3 more super chats here. 4 more, rather. Michael Schneider. Give me just a second, guys, and then we'll get into the old Overholt 10-year cast strength rye. Michael Schneider in for 4. $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Bring little hands in to celebrate 10-year announcement with the King of Kentucky. She's asleep, or else I would. She's asleep. All right, Guy. In for 4 more, in addition to the 1 entry that I owed you above. Thank you. Adam S. in for 2 says congrats. Thank you, Adam. And I think the last one in the Venmo is a pretty massive super chat here from William Molnar. As always, William is incredibly generous. Thank you so much, man. In for $50 super chat. I gotcha. Nothing good for this because he's still groggy from waking up from his nap. Cheers, guys. Okay. Now we're talking. Oh, Copper Wolf jumping in for 2 for Amy. Thank you, man. Here we go. I'll put it in. Copper Wolf 87 in parentheses for Amy. Thank you, man. That's very cool. All right. So Copper Wolf, this is my first Willet family estate. It tasted older than 9 years. Loads of oak, tobacco leather, and a floral herbal tea thing going on. Very little sweetness from fresh crack. Yeah, the Willet 6 year, man. I'm shocked at I'm really shocked at it. Yeah. Ken Dad, hanging on my last 2 pours of C923 till I find a replacement. Totally disappeared here. Yeah, it's flying off shelves. Devin, hey Cam, what bottles are on your Whiskey Mount Rushmore? Chateau de la Baude Batch 1. I mean, King of Kentucky. A lot of these are going to be unicorns, but it just kind of is what it is. So if you go Mount Rushmore, you go 4. Chateau de la Bod's got to be on there for me. And this is like such a hard question to answer. I love all the Pappy kind of stuff. I love all the BTAC stuff. I haven't spent enough time with any of it. I've never owned a bottle. So to me, it's a novelty in some sense. And it's a treat. But King of Kentucky, I think I would put on there. Because it's pretty damn consistent. Even though some are excellent. And some are just very good. Yeah. I don't know. I'll get back on the... I mean, some of the other ones are going to be dusties. Like... Okay, George T. Stagg 09 was probably one of the best whiskeys I've ever tasted. So that would go on there. GTS 09, King of Kentucky, Chateau de la Bod Batch 1. I got to think of the fourth one. Wow, Copper Wolf, they've dropped then, man. Because Chateau, for a second there, was like 900 to 1,000. Oh, what's up, Mark Vasco? Cheers, Cam. I got to get used to knowing this is Mark. It always takes me a second. Stopping in to say howdy. Mark, did you get anything on Single Barrel Saturday? Mr. Jiggs loves the old Overholt, so we're going to find out right now. Okay, so here we go. Old Overholt. Mash bill on this, I believe, is technically undisclosed. I heard that somebody said this is a 95.5 rye. If you know, or if you have any speculation even, let me know in the chat. Barreled in 2012, winter and autumn. Okay. And bottled 2023 autumn. This was in their Escalator Warehouse V. I'm sure that means something. I'm sure it's an interesting layout for the Rick House. I did read about it briefly. I can't remember what I read. It was before I had this bottle. It was like when I heard that it was coming out, I read about it. So, cask strength unfiltered, 121 proof. Really nice proof point. Again, 10 years age stated. So a 10-year cask strength rye for $100 from Jim Beam. Value-wise, you might think this is a little high, but it's $10 a year. Once you hit that 10-year to 12-year mark, that becomes more acceptable. And when you consider that it's cask strength, I would say this is actually not just like an even or fair value. I'd say it's like a little bit of an above average value in the current market. But oh, man. Picked up a CYPB, a Willet 10-year rye. Elijah Craig, Knob Creek. Oh, I'm glad you got the Middle West. Very cool. Travis says, since the old Overholt was from the... not going to try to say that word. Monongahela? Monongahela? I don't know. Region originally, it would not surprise me that it's 80+% rye. And yeah, Daniel, absolutely. Old rye is not as common. All right. The nose on this, I want to get this out of the way up front. It is 15% too hot, but it's Jim Beam, known for being spicy. I know I need to be consistent tonight. I bitched about Little Book, so I'll minorly bitch about this. It's like 10 to 15% too hot on the nose for the proof point and for the age. You would expect a little bit more of a rounded profile because of the age. But underneath all of that, this thing smells very good. It's like... I want to try to relate this to something before I go tasting notes. This reminds me of a really nice Larceny barrel proof combined with something else. Oh, here we go. This is actually kind of interesting. If anybody ever had the Blue Run, I know I'm talking smack about them. Now I'm going to use them as a tasting note. Blue Run Golden Rye. Which is not a fantastic whiskey. It's an easy sipper. It tastes kind of like green tea. Very like pear, bright fruit notes. This tastes like a mix between Larceny barrel proof, let's say C922, because it's my favorite, because this smells good. That Larceny barrel proof, and then these kind of like light fruit green tea notes that you get on the Blue Run Golden Rye. That's like the best comparison that I could come up with. And then, yeah, a little bit of like a Knob Creek peanut note for sure is in there, but it's not at a level that feels out of balance at all. Monongahela, not Hela. Monongahela, okay. Oh man, this stuff, I'm telling you, it smells like, it is about as classic gets, and not in a rye sense. It really smells like a barely legal rye, but the rumors are saying that it's a 95.5. If that's the case, that's really surprising, because it smells very bourbon-esque. Man. Yeah, still a little hot on the palate. It dances, you know, you're playing with fire on the front of your tongue for a second, and then you're good. I love this whiskey. Which is why I didn't want to just taste it fly by night on Thursday's stream, because I want to focus in on this, dig down on it a little bit. This is in my mind one of the best ryes that I've had all year. The thing is, though, it just doesn't taste really like a rye. So is it? I mean, it's still a rye, but I wouldn't even categorize it with some of the other ryes released this year. Wow, this is so interesting. And I did bring out a bottle to compare to it, not just the previous 11-year special release at a lower proof, but hang on, I need a new glass. But I actually brought out, I swear I'm not like, it's another Matt pick. Okay, this is the third Matt pick we've had on the stream, I think. Matt, I love you, dude. I'm not trying to be weird, but I'm just drinking your whiskey. You know, wink, wink. All right. So this is 120 proof, and this is 9.5 years old. So 6-month age difference, basically the same proof, and it's a Knob Creek bourbon as opposed to this Overholt 10-year rye, but fair comparison, I think. So Overholt here, and here's the Knob Creek. Very close. Very closely related. The Knob Creek, to me, definitely a little bit more of this leather note that you get from Knob Creek oak. It goes funky leather. There's like some sort of really high cacao chocolate dusting, you know, that kind of thing on here too. But on the palate, the Knob Creek, you just throw it back. I mean, it drinks really easy for 120 proof. Coming back to the Overholt, there's a little bit of a floral note to this, which you can expect from the rye. It's hard to pin this down. It's a really interesting combination of different spices, different kind of herbal floral qualities, and pinning down what the fruit notes are on here is tough. You could just say citrus, but I don't think that's not doing it justice, you know? But the palate on this, that's what really sets it off. As compared to the Knob Creek, which is super easy going. This 121 proof, it's just fun to drink. So, and it just has that, down the middle caramel note that I love. It just screams classic. It screams Kentucky. It's great whiskey. Noah, I've unfortunately not tried the Parkers. I don't even think I know anybody that has one. I know the Junkies reviewed it and Dan didn't like it. I remember that. Okay. Let me scroll up here. Travis, common mash bill for Monongahela rye contained only 2 grains rye and barley malt, generally in a ratio of roughly 4-1. Okay, so yeah, you mentioned like 80-20 earlier, I think, right? 80%, yeah, rye. And then the Monongahela River, sometimes referred to locally as the Mon, is a 130-mile-long river on the Allegheny Plateau in north-central West Virginia and southwestern Pennsylvania. Okay. Huh. You learn something new every day. That's good info. Jimmy says, I have one sample of what were we talking? Oh, the Parkers. Oh, man. Jimmy, you don't have to do that. I think the only Parkers I've ever tried were the 10-year heavy char rye that Daniel sent. And somebody sent me, I think maybe Keith Schmidt back in 2020, maybe even, or early 21, sent me a sample of the heavy char 8-year Parker's Rye, which was, to me, a lights out bottle. I loved that. Jimmy, man, I mean, I would sincerely appreciate it, man. I would love to try that. Make a review for that one. Because I don't think I've ever done a video on Parkers. I think I've just basically tasted those on live streams. So, Noah, have you tried the Parkers? Travis, interested to see how the Overholt compares to the barrel strength or single barrel Knob Creek rye picks? Yeah, I guess so. I have one downstairs, but I'm not going to go grab it for now. I'll have to do that on my own. Because I have a single barrel rye pick from a few years ago that is, like, really good. It's like Booker's Rye Light. I'd take a sample and give you my... So do you want me to send you a sample, Travis? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, Copperwolf, man. Those Parker's Heavy Char Rye. Awesome. I don't know what it is. I mean, there's a crispy caramel note on this Old Overholt as well. And I think some people, it edges on being brittle to me. And that's something that I actually complained about in the blind on Friday night with Matt when I smelled the little book. I said, oh, this smells brittle. And then I smelled his Blue Run pick, and I said, this smells even more brittle. That's a note that I don't typically like. But sometimes it's balanced well. And one of those instances is with some Larceny barrel proofs. They get a little brittle, but I like it. And this Overholt somehow has balanced spice, presence, everything to allow that kind of brittle caramel peanut note to be a positive and not a negative. Lance. Just Lance. Thank you, Lance. In for 4 in the super chat giveaway. I really appreciate it, man. Can't speak right now. Oh, what is up, Nancy Fraley? Hey, Nancy, I got that bottle right here. I think, if this is the 11-year you're talking about, and I was going to do a comparison for this 10-year cast strength to this 11-year, and I know the 11-year is quite a bit lower in proof. I was going to reduce the cast strength just a bit with some water. I know it's going to be a quick reduction. Not like Nancy's slow water reduction process that she employs. I got the facts. But this Old Overholt is in a blind flight is a total biatch because it's hard to figure out what you're actually sipping on. Sarah has put this in a number of blind flights for me, and it's always tough. Oh, it's so balanced. It's so balanced. Definite tea notes going on in there. Oaky. I think it's a great bottle. It's like what Blue Run Golden Rye wants to be. So Noah likes the Parker's 10 Rye. Okay. Lance says, cheers all, you're doing a great job. Thank you, man. Thanks for being here, Lance. Are you new to the channel or new to the live streams? I don't think I've seen you pop up here in chat before. Oh, man. So anyways, if you guys see this old Overholt Rye at $100 MSRP, this is a major pickup for me. Do you need to buy two? I don't know that you need to buy two because I think this is one of those I think you can take the risk on one, but it still might not totally vibe with your palate. It just depends on what you value. But I think it's a little adventurous for just a standard bourbon drinker in the sense that it's a little, I don't know, it's just different. It's just different. I don't have a good way to characterize it, I guess. Nancy, because I read some articles and stuff, and you've mentioned it here in the live chats before. All right, so I just reduced this 10-year a little bit. Wow, however they managed the 11-year release at that low proof, it's remarkable, actually. Yeah. All right, that's probably too much water, but that's okay. Let's see how this ends up. You know what? The old Overholt 11-year lower proof version actually kind of smells scotchy. Yeah, and proofing this thing down doesn't get you anywhere near the 11-year. So it almost feels like a completely different whiskey. It's not even remotely the same. It's interesting. I wonder if they used like a different mash bill between the two, because it tastes like it. Yeah, it almost smells like a higher rye content and the 11-year lower proof. And even though I've heard all these rumors about high rye 95.5 or whatever in this 10-year cask strength, this smells like a barely legal rye. Yeah, interested to know if perhaps they would have used different mash bills in these various releases. Because, if somebody asked me, well, I liked the 11-year Overholt Rye, am I going to like the 10-year? And it's like, I have no idea. Because they don't even have any relationship, nose, palate, even when you proof it down. No. So, don't make the purchase for the 10-year based on if you've ever had the 11-year. That would be a mistake, I think. Lance says, I'm here. I watch occasionally, like your content, sipping Found North Peregrine. I don't know that release from Found North. Found North Peregrine is a highly limited 20-year age-stated special release whiskey using stocks of, 20 to 27 years old. Got to get on their site here. Wow, yeah, it's got the fat 20-year age statement on the front in gold lettering. 20-year-old rye and ex-Speyside Scotch cask, 22-year-old corn and New American oak, 23-year-old corn and refill oak, 24-year-old corn and ex-bourbon, and 27-year-old corn in Hungarian oak. Wow. Lots going on there. After, there's reblending, there's rebarreling. Man, that sounds like a hell of a whiskey. I'm not big on the Canadian stuff, the Found North stuff, but that sounds very cool. Yeah, Nancy, that's the one I've got. That's the 11-year that I've got, the 46.3. I'm telling you, there seems to be zero relationship between these two. I'm going to continue to proof down this 10-year just a little bit more But I feel like I've gone beyond that. What 40? What is the 46.3? I feel like I've gone below that at this point. But let's see. It gets a little closer, maybe, actually. Maybe I just needed to proof it down even more. But it's still much more peppery, but also bourbon-like. So kind of opposites. Peppery feeling like more rye, but bourbon-like feeling like higher corn content. Devin, what's the difference between a used barrel and a refill barrel? Copperwolf, the 11-year was released, I think, in 2021. I want to say 2021. And it was just Ohio, Pennsylvania release, which is why it had a little bit more rarity to it. Jason, how does the old Overholt 114 compare? I don't know. That's buried deep in my basement somewhere. And I wasn't a big fan of that. I mean, that to me was just like a mixer. But maybe I'm being kind of like snooty about that. I'm not sure. So yeah, Devin, back to you. Difference between a used barrel and refill barrel. Well, I mean, I guess they can be the same thing, right? It's kind of like I think you're kind of talking about the same thing, I guess. If you use a barrel the first time, then you could refill it, presumably, like if it was a sherry barrel or something else. Maybe I'm not quite understanding the question well enough, though. Okay. Like when Found North says ex-bourbon and refill oak. New American Oak, refill oak, ex-Speyside Scotch. So I think refill oak. Well, then they say ex-bourbon. They say refill oak, and then they say ex-bourbon. So the refill oak is just some nondescript thing, which could mean the same thing as the others, or it could mean that it's some cask that doesn't technically qualify as any kind of cask specifically. I don't know. That's just kind of dumb verbiage, I guess. Oh, Mark's out of here, headed to bed. Thanks for the review. Yeah, Mark, when it hits here, man, I say get one. I think I'm gonna go through this bottle fast. Unfortunately, I'm gonna be looking for a backup. Okay, I mean, I have proofed this down to oblivion now. And it's below proof than the 11-year. It does still feel pretty remarkably different. But it could just be the blend, could just be the fact that I proofed it down so fast. Could be a lot of things. Yeah, maybe reused oak staves. Yeah, that's the thing, Copperwolf. It's like maybe it's some other kind of cask that they just didn't specify, or maybe it's like some bastardized cask. Who knows? Joe says, pretty readily available to distillery if you're open to a day trip. Not for this bottle, honestly. Secondary right now is like, people are selling this basically at cost. 120 shipped is what I'm seeing it for, and yeah, I would do it. I'd pay that. Jeb, just, bro, let's just get the list together, and I'll send you a bunch of samples, and I'll include this. I don't think this one's going to shoot up on price, which is cool. I think this could end up being a really great value buy with some decent availability that people can actually get their hands on. And that excites me. And that's not the reason I'm hyping it up. I genuinely really like this whiskey. Okay, another super chat here on Venmo from James. Awesome. I got you, James. I'll just go JM Jr. right here. In for I think 2. In for 2. $10 super chat. Thank you, James. I got you, man. All right. Appreciate it. Jeb, list is compiled. Okay, what am I missing here? Travis was saying maybe Beam uses only one yeast strain overall. It makes sense. It all has that. I heard that nuttiness comes from the yeast strain, and it all pretty much has that. So, wow. Travis, special release at Evan Williams Experience Derby Week, 17-year single barrel. Oh, my goodness. Don't know how much. Also, if you can get the Evan Williams 1786 American Heroes. Man. Yeah, Copper Wolf, I agree. It can all get really convoluted. What else, guys? What else? Is there anything else I said that I was dead set on tasting tonight? And I hate this. I don't want to sound like a total turd saying this, but are there any like requests, any comparisons or one-off reviews or things that you can see behind me or things you know that I have that you would like, like me to ramble about? You know, one of the other great whiskeys, you were going to, the Can Kentucky. That's right. I'm not going to bottle chug it. Last night, I did celebrate last night with some friends, the guys in the percussion section. We all went out. And then 2 of them left. And then one of the other guys and me, we ended up continuing the hang. And it got a little schlitzy. So that's why, like, not only did I get 3 hours of sleep last night, but they were not 3 good hours of sleep. I woke up foggy this morning. So I cannot believe I am live streaming right now. When I woke up this morning, I was like almost in tears because I felt so terrible. Daniel, I'm probably not going to do C923s tonight. I want to just put that out in a video instead of doing it on a stream. Scott JG, worth a shot. Sounds good. Thank you, man. I'll get you in. Hey, have I missed anybody's super chats in the stream today? Let me know if I've missed anybody in stream. Because somehow last week when I missed Alan Mack, I felt like a total dickhead. And I've got him. When I say missed it, I mean that I haven't pulled up on the screen and acknowledged. Because if I did that, then I typed them in. But yeah, missing Alan Mack last week made me feel like a total jerk. Michael, I can't function after a lot of booze and a little sleep normally. Like, my body can't handle it anymore. So this morning was the first time I've had to do that in many years because I know that about myself, that I can't hang anymore. I need it. I need 8 or 9 hours of sleep if I'm drinking the night before. And my Whoop strap said I had a 1% recovery when I woke up. It's the lowest possible recovery number you could have. I was like, oh, geez, I think I'm knocking on death's door. What was I gonna search in here? Oh, man, Copper Wolf. The only reason I'm going to say I'm not going to do that comparison is because the Glendronach will completely mop the floor with the Johnnie Walker, and it's not even a worthwhile comparison. Although I guess that's assuming that you want to know a favorite. But I can just tell you the Glendronach 18 is just a massive sherry bomb. And the Johnnie Walker 18 was good, but I'll probably skip on that one. Brandon, I can't do it anymore. I just can't. Yes, Joe, dude, it is absolutely the heart rate variability. That is totally the reading that gives it away. But it does look like, when you look up on Google, what is like a dangerous HRV? You know, some of the real low numbers that I see after crazy nights of drinking, It freaks me out a little bit, actually. He's only 5'1". Give him a break. Come on, I'm 5'7" and a quarter, you got to give me the quarter. Jason Harris, unfortunately, man, I've never tried an Old Carter Rye, so I can't speak to that. I don't even know what they're using in those blends. So if anybody in the chat knows, I could just kind of take a swing at it on stats alone, but you know, that's tough because I don't know if they're double barreling that stuff like they do some of their other products, or they're assumed to at least. Yeah, I mean, Glendronach is gonna kill all of it. Oh, Nancy, $20 super chat. Thank you, Nancy. Hang on, let me get you in here, Nancy, into the old giveaway. What, Nancy? You might be getting some old Overholt. 10-year. She says a refill cask is a second fill barrel from what was originally in the virgin cask, usually noted as first fill, second fill, etc. So this is kind of diving deeper into what the refill cask stuff. And first fill would be that it's already been used once, and this is the first time after it's been originally used, right? Yeah. William. Thank you, Nancy. $20 super chat, supporting the channel. And of course, name in the hat now for the Overholt Rye. William, 41 here, and can't even stay awake when sitting on the couch watching YouTube. Joe, okay, so if they're using, so then they're either using MGP or Bardstown in there, right? I mean, those are the two pickle ryes. Okay, what is this? Knob Creek. Yeah, that's right. And then this is the Overholt 11. What a great bottle, the Overholt 11. Definitely MGP, says Joe. Okay. So I got King of Kentucky. I'm not going to do C923. I've gone on and on about C923, and that's why I was like, I'm just going to make one video. After I've already made the review, I'll make a video of the comparison and then put that to bed for good for me. But Tylese, yeah. I don't want to spoil anything, so. Travis, try the honey-finished Ryconic. I have that right behind me, man. Let me find that. Nancy, yes, a first fill means that it has already been used once as a virgin cask. Second time the cask is used, it is a first fill. Counterintuitive. It's kind of like, don't the people in England call the first floor, what is it? They call the first floor, that's the upstairs or something like that. It's like counterintuitive in kind of the same way. All right. Ryconic honey finished rye. I still have this bag of samples, Travis. Thank you for reminding me. Oh, man, you taped it. That shows that I haven't gotten into this. I'm sorry. And these are so well labeled. It's amazing. Okay, I see a double oaked Ryconic. Toasted. Oh, man. I didn't even realize I had the Old Dominic bottle. I loved the standard Old Dominic. MGP 7-year wheated. There we go. Honey cask Ryconic. There we go. Travis, your packing and generosity are off the charts, dude. Daniel says our second floor is there first. Okay. Cheers, Nancy. Thanks for the super chat and the info and hanging out. Good to see you. Have a good rest of your night and good start to your week. Oh, shoot, Michael, you're right about the samples being upright. Well, we'll see right now. I have a few bags of samples on the floor behind me, and 2 of them are outgoing, and the other one is Travis's, and I don't know if these were on their sides the whole time or not, so crap. Oh, that. I wondered when you said that what you were talking about, man. So you did. Okay, there's the super chat. All right, I'll get you in here. 2 entries. Sorry about that. Dad in for 2. What did you say? Acknowledge me. What was it? Acknowledge me. Cheers. Gotcha. All right. Okay. Well, let's see here. If I hope, man, Travis, if these samples are all tainted from being possibly tipped over. I didn't look when I picked the bag up if they were tipped over or not. Michael, no, I haven't tasted 2XO, Jim of Kentucky, but all of that stuff is probably going to have that kind of note to it because of the double barreling that he's doing. That note, that smoky bacon note is becoming so prevalent on all these either toasted barrels or even just the double barreling that people are doing. I think it's, in my opinion, the worst trend in whiskey is that note because it overtakes every other note and it becomes the star of the show. I just don't like it. It feels, that note is a masking note to me. It's like you can try to, you can try to cover up bad whiskey with that note. And I'm not saying everybody does that. Sometimes that note comes out on very expensive toasted products with great base bourbons. But it's definitely the thing that turns me off about toasted barrels these days. No, it's like the flavor, like the 4-Gate Kelvin 60 has that, unfortunately. And it is still a great whiskey, but it's that flavor, I think, I have to imagine it's the same one that you get from some of those Nulu Toasteds and stuff like that. It's not worse than Ambarana, Jeb, actually. I think it's still better than that. Joe, I don't get that on the 13th Colony. Not in the same way. It's not that, it's not that raw wood smoky bacon. It's smoky bacon in like an actual savory, great way. It doesn't taste artificial on the oak front. All right, let's see. Travis, hope I didn't taint this. I think we're good. So this is going to be 95.5 MGP rye, 7-year honey cask, 105.9 proof. Cool. Yeah, Jason. Dude, a lot of the Michter's, I'll tell you what, even the barrel strength rye, not even the toasted, the barrel strength rye I had from 2021 had that note on it, which made me go, wait a second, does this also see a second barrel that they're not telling us? I don't know, but it's interesting that those are getting that. The new toasted ryes have that note, whereas the old toasted rye, if you saw the stream I did with Matt on his channel on Friday, the older toasted ryes, they taste like fluffy marshmallows and cognac finished and like beautifully, kind of excessively sweet, actually, in a fun way. They have no resemblance to the current toasted ryes from Michter's, which are now smoky bacon, rubbery, harsh. Bill Scott, thank God someone else has that take on the double oaking and toast. Yeah, man, it is so predictable now and cliche, I think. I hate that The worst part is that it's predictable. You're like, man, I'm going to spend $80 on this single barrel toasted, and maybe they actually had a good base bourbon on here, but I can guarantee what it's probably going to taste like now when I have it. And it's almost always that smoky bacon breakfasty thing that overtakes the entire whiskey. It's such a shame, for me at least. Travis, this is like a really interesting honey rye, man. This is not like a lot of the honey barrel finish stuff that was in vogue the last 2 years. It's extremely balanced. It's surprisingly balanced. It actually has that note that I talked about on Matt's stream with that rare character malt whiskey, the Exceptional Cask. That kind of cheese note to it. This has a little cheesiness. Yeah. It's like a combination of the savory dill notes in the MGP rye and the sweetness of the honey are coming together in this weird way that's kind of cheesy. Oh, it's double-barreled rye finished in honey. Okay. So a little more savory probably from that double barreling before the finish, which would make sense to get maybe that cheesy thing. This is delightful. That is one of the best honey products I've ever had. Most of them get heavy-handed, and people, to combat that heavy-handedness of the honey finish, will often put it in a double barrel, or they'll double oak it either before or after the honey finish, depending. So it sounds like from Travis, this one was double oaked before the honey finish, and I am shocked at the balance on this whiskey. It's funky. Like it's like it's a sometimes I say sweaty sock on some whiskeys. What is that note? Yeah, so this smells like spicy dill pickles. I'll use the same note I said last Friday. Kraft macaroni and cheese powder. So spicy dill pickles, Kraft mac and cheese powder, and a combination of like honey and like sweaty sock. It's a super weird, funky whiskey, but the balance is right, and it makes all of those flavors work together. And all the notes I talked about are hinging heavily on the savory, some sweet from the honey, and of course some spicy because of the rye and the double oaking. And it just manages to balance all of those really well. Jimmy, I despise Rio. I don't like it, man. I know, yeah, I had it at Pours in the Park is what it was. Oh, what's up, Mojo? Travis, it's also a single barrel. Nothing they do at cask strength is blended. Okay, nice. Travis, man, I don't know what you think about this bottle. This, I think, is excellent. $125. I would normally say that's kind of crazy for a 7-year, double oak finished MGP rye that a lot of people are going to do similar type of things. This is up there. It's a funky ass whiskey that is worth it. It's probably long gone, obviously, this barrel, but to me, this gives me what this does, though, because it's coming from King's Family Distillery, a distillery that I'm not super familiar with, right? This is one of those things that it's a great first impression, and it lets me know, judging on this one whiskey, that they know how to handle these barrel finishes, and they know how to handle the balance as they move from barrel to barrel. And that's something that most places just don't get. And I don't get it. I don't know how it works, but I can tell the end result, whether there was that awareness, I think, in the process. And here it seems like they've dotted all their I's and crossed all their T's. So, very cool. All right. Travis says you and I can have a one-on-one about them. Yeah, man. I'm curious. Definitely curious. Okay. Last thing I'm going to do is just drink some King of Kentucky to celebrate. And then we got to do this giveaway drawing. So we'll do the giveaway drawing at 11:30 Eastern. That's a little ways away from now, but it's just playing it safe on my end because I'll lose track of time. So yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of super chats tonight, a lot of great support, which is amazing. So this is not trying to twist anybody's arm, but if anybody wants to get in at the last minute on any of these super chats for the giveaway, it's just one giveaway tonight, no sample pack for a second. We're just doing a giveaway for the 10-year-old old Overholt cask strength rye, which I think is a phenomenal bottle, a different bottle for sure, but very classic, and I enjoy it quite a bit. All right, King of Kentucky. Let's get a good glass. Let's go celebratory glass on this one. So yeah, we're down to the bottom of this one. I think the plan will be to probably finish this and the Chateau de la Baude with Sarah. And we can do a little more. Well, yeah, we can do a little more. Finish both of these bottles with Sarah whenever she's feeling a little whiskey. Sarah's been working out so hard and killing it and limiting her alcohol intake insanely. I mean, like, she's hardly ever drinking, which is amazing. She's got a lot of just awesome self-control, so I don't get to drink as much whiskey with her anymore. Michael, thank you for the super chat. I'll get you in here before we do the giveaway. Just Michael, how can I denote you in here? I'll just put Michael for now, but how can I denote you specifically? Like maybe a last initial or something? Roy N must be really behind on the stream. Or maybe he's in it right now and he's saying this about earlier. Yeah, Roy, I do need to, man. I'm going to do a batching of Scotch reviews here coming up and just drop them once a week on Sundays. And they're going to be pretty low tech to start so that I can just get 4 of them recorded right in a row. Just schedule them out on Sundays and do that. But it's high time for that. Michael, okay, McGee, get you in here. 1 entry and boom. Good. Make sure I didn't miss any PayPal stuff. Michael, yeah, I have an infinity bottle right now behind me, and we did kind of a funny live stream thing a few years back where people would super chat and then tell me what to put in the infinity bottle. They would be entered into a giveaway to then win samples of the infinity bottle that they helped blend that night. And it wasn't a perfect system. There's not really a perfect system way to do it, unfortunately. I mean, there is in theory, but you'd have to run 2 different sets of randomizers, one randomizer set. Anyways, I could think through it. I don't know that I'll do it again, but we built out like a pretty cool infinity bottle. But that infinity bottle ended up getting dispersed amongst everybody, and so I just have the last final little remaining sample in a flask on a shelf in front of me. But speaking of infinity bottles, Matt Porter has one hell of an infinity bottle because he put it in this blind flight from, it was sample 3. This one that Matt sent me for last Friday's stream, oh my goodness. So good. Oh, Roy's in here right now. Just mess with me. Thanks, man. No, but I do need to get to that sample. Again, it's such a special sample, man. At this point, I know I sound like a broken record, and I'm procrastinating, and I apologize for that, Roy, because that's such an amazing thing for you to send me that I've been sitting on it. So I actually do feel really bad about that now that I, think about that more. So I will get to that, man. I'm sorry. Kind of bums me out. But you're right. I do need to get to that. Because also, I took one little nip off the top once off that sample bottle, and it was pretty insane. Okay. All right, King of Kentucky. So who asked about that just now? Michael. This King of Kentucky is 2021, so 14 years at 129.7. And no, I wouldn't say it's banana forward. I mean, there is maybe a little bit in there, but the biggest thing you get off of this is molasses and fudge. Molasses, fudge, acetone. It's really, really good. And that acetone is a product of these Brown-Formans. It's just a feature of most of these highly aged Brown-Forman products. They get this acetone note. And I've said this on a stream maybe 2 months ago. I took my Michter's 10 2023 A batch, or A single barrel, that everybody says is Brown-Forman, and I proofed this King of Kentucky way down to match what seemed to be the same proof to my palate. And there's no doubt in my mind that this King of Kentucky is basically Michter's 10 2023 just proof down. It's the same exact stuff. Same acetone note, which is a dead giveaway. Joe, yes, barrel 29. Do you have this barrel? Now, the one that I had from 2020 that Ashton had sent me 2 years ago or something, or a year and a half ago, I can't remember the barrel that one was. I have a picture of the bottle somewhere. That 2020 was 40% better than this one. It was one of the best whiskeys I've ever tasted in my life, whereas this one is just like a very good, highly aged whiskey, All right, cheers, guys. Thank you for being here again. Thank you for, helping me celebrate a little bit of good news tonight. And I hope you have a good start to your week. We're going to do the giveaway here in just a second, and then we'll sign off. But finishing out with some of this King of Kentucky, which is always a treat. And I've almost hung on to this bottle now. Let me think about that. Yeah, it's like we're getting close to 2 years. I got this bottle. We opened it Valentine's Day of 2021. So almost 2 years with this bottle. That's not bad. Adam, thank you for saying this, man, because this is like the eternal struggle in my mind. My thought is I can feasibly handle one edited video a week and be consistent on that, and I know that. I get in trouble when I think I can handle more than that, and then I get ahead of myself, and then I start spinning out. So my thought was to just put out one edited video a week, and everything else, just sit down and shoot and go straight through. And it might even be straight through recording in StreamYard, where I'm streaming right now, so that the camera quality is even not going to be perfect from my camera. It's going to be whatever the computer saves it as. Still going to look fine, going to sound fine, but just to get more stuff out there. I've been really thinking about that, because now that I have tenure with my job, I don't have to worry about every little thing anymore. I mean, I'm not saying I'm trying to slack off, because I'm not. I'm too much of a perfectionist anyways on that, in that way as well, but I do need to get more stuff out there, man. Oh, Ashton, dude. Lurking, man. 2020 was barrel 12, 133.2 proof. And Ashton, I shot that video and I screwed something up and it recorded 4 channels of audio, and I can't create proxy files because the audio is in 4 channels. Proxy files allow me to edit videos because my computer can't handle editing the raw files of those videos. And so I can't edit that video. I still have all that raw footage saved on my hard drives and my cameras. I can't do anything with it because my computer's not powerful enough. It won't do it, which sucks. Because in that video, I was like, oh my God, this is like the best whiskey of all time. Wow. Thank you guys for the encouragement on that too. The the phrase quantity over quality hurts my heart a little bit, but I know what we mean in this case. Man. All right, let's do this giveaway. I am going to put it up on the screen, have everybody check it as usual. Okay, we're good Venmo. I think we're good PayPal, and we're good in the stream as well. So Roy N would have been the last one. Yeah. Ashton says, totally agree on that barrel. Crazy good. The only thing that might top it is a 2019. Yeah. I haven't had... Let me think here. I've had 3 2021s. And Ashton, I've had your 2020. And I don't think I've had 18, 19, 22, or 23. No. So, it's interesting that King of Kentucky now, like, I think everything is 16 years that came out. That's interesting. I mean, at 14 years, this stuff was insane. What's up, Cheech? All right, let me share my screen. I need to zoom out a little bit first. Try to get them all in here. Yeah. Alan Mack is at the top. Guy is at the top. So if I cut those off, I'll just cut off Alan Mack. But I know that he's in there and he's got his entries rolled over from last stream, which I screwed up. All right, sharing screen window. There it is. All right, and I'll take the banner down now. So there you go. Just check, again, same thing as always. Your name appears next to the number of entries. So that's the dollar amount divided by 5 will be next to your name. And if you entered more than once, your name will then appear twice. All right. So Guy entered once up here because he had a rollover from last week. That's 1 entry rolled over. He also entered down here a $20 super chat, which is 4 entries because 20 divided by 5 is 4. So just check, make sure there's no discrepancies, please. Take 90 seconds, and then we're going to spin this thing 7 times in the randomizer. Top person's going to win. Jimmy, I didn't get a chance. Honestly, man, I didn't get a chance to really hang with Zach. The year before, the 4 a.m. crew shut it down the very last night, and we had really, really great hangs. This year, I don't know. I didn't get a chance to, and I felt like Zach was mad at me. I don't know. I got some vibe, and I was like concerned that he was upset at me or mad at me or kind of something. And I was like, well, I don't want to, we're all drinking. So I think I didn't follow up with him when I could have to go to his room or something to have some stuff. I don't know. I just got some impression that maybe I was on his nerves or something. I'm an overthinker, so that's just what I do. Oh, Joe had the 16-year at Evergreen. Yeah. Travis, check out my question. Let's see. Oh, up here. Local store raffle, $3.99 for 1. Should I go for it? or one of the 11 George T. Stag. King of Kentucky. Unfortunately, at that, I mean, I know it's a high price. This year's George T. Stag, it's right here, you know, and so here's, I mean, here it is, like King of Kentucky, George T. No, it's not close. This year's George T. Stag is not very good. I know that sounds like a really shitty, privileged thing to say, but and Matt sent me his media sample, which I feel bad about because I'm not a big fan of it. But I'm going to shoot a review for it, and I'll give the devil its due. You know, in any situation that it does have good things about the whiskey, but I just think there are a lot of blending issues with this George T. Stag that don't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah, the answer is always King of Kentucky. Adam, if I wouldn't give it to the guy who you missed last week, I bought the bottle a few days ago on your recommendation. Awesome. Adam, hey, man, I appreciate that. I'll just make a note of it. Where are you? Adam for Guy. Okay. I think we're good. Let's spin this thing. So let me copy this now into the... Okay, so there we go. Everything's in here running 7 times. 1, 2, 3. Hang on, this is 3. The next click is 3. 3. Okay. 4, 5, 6. And here we go, last one. 7. Boom. Nancy Fraley wins. So I'll confer with Nancy, make sure that she wants to, have that bottle. She threw that super chat in, but she had copied an earlier comment that she had made. And I'm not sure if she super chatted for the giveaway or she super chatted just to make sure her comment was seen. I'll confer with Nancy, but that's kind of funny that Nancy picked up the win. An industry titan. So let me write this down just to be sure. And then Scott JG, if you're in here, Scott, just, in the event that Nancy rolls that over, Scott, shoot me your info, drumsanddrams@gmail.com. Just shoot me your name and an address. And cool, you're still in here. So shoot me an email just in case. Just in case. So I got to email Nancy. Okay. Let's do this. Cool. So congrats to Nancy. The only reason I'm saying maybe Nancy rolls it over is because she's been so generous in the past. You just never know. I don't know what she has access to or not, like, in the industry and all that kind of stuff. So not trying to put any ideas out there that she should give it up or anything like that. All right, y'all. Thank you for the great stream. We did about 2 hours. I can't believe it. My Whoop strap is telling me that I need 10 hours and 45 minutes of sleep tonight. Thankfully, Mondays are my days off, so I might be sleeping till noon tomorrow. We will see. All right, I think that's going to do it. Any last minute... Go to his room to have... Jeb, I missed your comment. All right, thanks for being here, guys. We maintained a pretty good number. Hit that like button on your way out. I'm going to wrap up. Stay tuned. I'm not sure if I'll have a stream this Thursday. It'll be a late one. It would be a 10:30 start time, and I got to weigh the benefit of that, or if I should just get some sleep that night, wake up Friday, and get a bunch of video editing done, because I'm going to be able to shoot videos this week, Tuesday and Wednesday night, and hopefully be able to batch a lot of stuff and get that set up for the next couple weeks. So that's the thought. Stay tuned. Patreon, I will be jumping in there in the next couple days to do the drawing for last month, which I missed because of getting COVID. apologize for that. So we'll take care of that. We'll do a Patreon live sometime here soon as well. And that's it. So cheers, guys. Thank you. And get that Overholt 10 if it sounds up your alley. If $100 isn't breaking the bank on a rye like this, on a little risk for some people, but I think a worthwhile risk. I think you'll dig it. Pick it up. Let me know what you think of it. Cheers, guys.